Anytime the Bat King rolls into a facility with the cases, I always bring gifts, man. So I got a couple of pieces of art for you, and I'd like to give them to you now.
No way.
I wanted to do something, obviously, that had the amazing Mets on it. The word "the amazing," once again, it's a little bit of a play on Spider-Man. If you see the font is definitely from like Spider-Man.
You're a comic book guy, so you know Spider-Man is a Mets fan. That is canon. That is true. He's from Queens. He's went to Mets games.
We got to do the big purple guy here. We got the Grimace. I see he's going to go well with the socks you got on there.
If you've been listening to this podcast, you know I'm an original friend of Grimace, big Grimace fan. This is sick. And you got the OMG sign on here too. I mean, look, if there is any perfect way to encapsulate the 2024 New York Mets, it's this and this.
And last but not least, we have a home run apple, meet at the apple bat.
No way. Whoa. Is that the outside of the ballpark in the V?
Yeah, so I raster that into the vinyl. It just adds a nice little, another special touch in there.
Dude, thank you. I mean, this is sick. You are one of the most talented people I've met in my life. Hey, welcome to Meet at the Apple. I'm Vito Calisi. You can follow me on Twitter at Vito F. Calisi. This is Meet at the Apple, and today we're meeting with the Bat King, Bruce Tatem. You can follow him on Instagram at _bat_king. Now, you see here below us, Bruce is known this year especially, you blew up with Victus's pencil bat. You've had a crazy year. You're known as the Bat King. Why don't you just start off telling everybody the story behind the bat that everybody got to know this year?
When I first came to Victus, they had me in the back. They were like, you can just come back here and you can just design bats. So I had an opportunity to go back there and just let my brain go. So in saying that, I would go home. My son, at that time, he was 12. I would throw ideas by him because, he's cooler than I am. And he's like, you should make a bat look like a pencil. So 2 weeks after being in Victus, I did my first design of the pencil bat. And a couple years later, I made the bat, but we held on to it because we were waiting for like a special time to release it. And then finally, one day I said to our CEO, this was like a couple years later, I was like, I got to release this bat. It's killing me. We haven't released it. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And it was a big time success when we released it. We sold like 100 in like 5 minutes. And at that time for our limited department, that was something. At the end of the day, it was like 1,200 in a 5-day period that we sold. So it was a very popular bat, and it sold out so quick that people had asked us for months and months about re-releasing that bat. So I can tell you a little bit more about that if you want.
Yeah, well, I'm holding the metal one right now, and I'm going to pick it up because you also brought the wood one right here. Yep. And the wood ones, you paint by hand, every single one, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to pull up the wood one, and Bruce was telling me about this before it started, but the amount of work that Bruce puts into these bats, not only are they hand-painted, but different parts of them, he uses different texture to give it that different feel. So tell me about this and specifically what you were telling me about the eraser before.
The pencil bat, when I first designed it, the whole bat was gloss. It looked like it was there, but it looked like it was still missing something. And I was like, man, it's that eraser. If I can get that eraser to have a different feel, different texture. And at Victus, we have multiple different finishes. We'll have gloss, we'll have matte, and we have our grit finish. And I started with the matte finish, and I was like, the matte finish dulls it out the way I want it to, but it still felt too slick. So I was like, I'm going to try some grit in there, and the grit really makes it feel like it's an eraser. And my favorite thing is when people pick that bat up and they're like, oh, wait, this kind of feels like an eraser. So, and that helps spawn into the crayon bat because the crayon on the wrapper, I do the same thing to have it feel kind of like it's a paper texture on there. So
you see these things and you see the work that gets put into them. And I feel like you bring such a unique kind of like artwork to these bats, and it's probably from your background. You were an airbrush artist specifically with motorcycles.
I started at 17. I wasn't doing motorcycles then. I was doing sneakers. I was doing hats. I was doing T-shirts. Whatever I could get. I had crazy things that people had me airbrush. A coffin. Actually, I did a coffin for a guy.
You got to tell me about the coffin.
Yeah, so I was this guy. He
saw your motorcycles and
saw the motorcycle art. This gentleman wanted his coffin painted. He said, I'm going out in style. So I went to his house. In his dining room, he had his coffin. He had decked out lights inside. He had his music playlist already picked out. The outside of the coffin was silver. He wanted lightning bolts all over this coffin. And I think it's based on like a rock thing, but it was like a fist holding a lightning bolt, whatever that was for. I can't remember what that symbol's for. But I airbrushed it. in this guy's dining room at his house. And unfortunately, his wife had passed away years before. And I think that his focus was just like, I'm going to live life to its fullest, and I still want to live when I'm in the ground. And unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, the guy from Motorcycle Shop texted me and said the guy got to use his coffin. So, he was an older gentleman. I'm not sure what happened, but, hopefully he was buried with a smile on his face. So,
I mean,
it was crazy.
I don't think I've heard of I've heard of people like putting effort into putting thought into their funeral, but a custom coffin.
A custom coffin.
Is there more pressure in a custom coffin?
It's a little creepy, to be honest. It's eerie, you know, because it's just eerie. But no, I mean,
is that the most out there thing you've done?
Pretty much, yeah. That was pretty much much
more comfortable with bats.
Yeah, certainly. The coffin was definitely cool, and it's all about trying to make, whether it's a bat, whether it's a coffin, a motorcycle, or what, trying to make people happy and bring joy to their face with the artwork that I have a chance to do for them. So every job I approach with the same kind of passion.
I saw that the reason you actually got hooked up with Victus was because of a beer partnership, right?
Yeah, so they had a natural light project that they were asked to do, and at that time, they weren't capable of doing like those little water droplets, that water drop effect. And they had seen on my Instagram before I was Bat King, a Mountain Dew motorcycle that I did that had water droplets all over it. So they reached out, they asked me to do the bats. It was a pretty tight turnaround. I actually did 4 different color cans, and they loved them. So I dropped those off. Then they were like, well, Johnny Gomes wants to have a bat done. So I did a bat for Johnny, and when I brought that back, they were kind of blown away. It was skulls, and it had $100 bills all over it. It said like "Scared money don't make money," and they were like, "This is what we've been looking for. We can't let you leave." And that started my whole conversation with Victus of how I was going to be able to go there and start doing this.
So that's a perfect time. Why don't you tell me about this one right here, the fish one, because I feel like it's a good example of like the water droplets, like how I feel like somebody wouldn't realize how much effort and how much like skill it takes to make something like that really pop. Yeah. And then you come in with these 2 cases full of bats. I see this thing and I can't even understand how you get a texture to look like that.
That bat there, it's a very fun bat. It's very cool looking. It gets a lot of eyes out in the sunlight. That thing pops. That really shows my motorcycle background. I started with a lot of heavy flake on that, and then literally I started at the tail end and I work up and I airbrush those fish scales the whole way up the bat. It takes about 45 minutes to airbrush those scales on there. So before I even get to do the real meat of the fish, I got to start with those scales.
Now, have any players used this one?
Now, I haven't done the fish bat as a swingable bat yet. So most of the art that I do is what we like to call swingable art. But that is a bat that I have not tested yet for swinging. I did do a fish bat for Seattle that was, I think it was like a king salmon bat. That one was swingable, and they did swing. That one didn't have as much flake as that has. My original iteration of that bat, it wasn't so glittery and glossy, but if you've ever seen a redfish, they like have that kind of look. So there's no way of getting around that. And that was done for Marucci, who's part of our sports family. Their CFO was all about that bat. So I worked with him. I would send him images of that. He would tell me when I'm getting close, and then that one nailed it. So
another person that I saw you've done bats for is Juan Soto, brand new member of the New York Mets. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing your bats around Citi Field this year.
Yes.
What's it been like to work with Juan?
So I haven't had a chance to meet Juan in person, but at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter because my artwork has met him. You know what I mean? So anytime that I've done customs for him, he's picked them up and he's swung them, except for one time. So one time he liked the bat too much. He's like, I can't swing this. This is going on the shelf at my house. But
wait, tell us about that design.
Okay, I can tell you about it. It did say it might have had something to say like "Welcome to the Jungle" on it. It was for the Yankees. So it had like I did.
We can talk about X's. It's fine.
Okay. All right. I did a silhouette of him on it, his logo, but instead of a bat, I made it the Statue of Liberty's like torch that she holds, and then I wrapped like New York City skyline around the top, and like I said, it said like "Welcome to the Jungle," and it had a couple other little flair things on it. But I think he just kind of liked the feel of it. It was nice and clean. Certain areas of it, I had silver, so it popped out some. But that was something that he wanted to go on the shelf. But for the most part, with Juan, anything that I give him, there's some really, really cool shots of him swinging customs that I've given to him. And last year in Dallas, I had done these bats that had their names on them, and they were flared. And then I did like this, it's like kind of like this splatter effect on the handle, and they were interviewing him. And he's like, I don't know what this stuff is, but it's really cool. So I'm sure him and I have a meeting coming up soon. But yeah, I'm going to still try to get him as much cool stuff as I possibly can.
Did you make him a Call of Duty bat also?
Yeah, so that we did. We had these bat cases. Me and a couple guys from Victus, we flew out to Seattle. We presented one case to Juan, and we presented one to Julio Rodriguez. And those things were really cool. That was a collab that we had done with Call of Duty. They had an artist do a pair of cleats for each of them. I designed these cases that look like military cases, and you opened it up, and the sound of night vision goggles went off. It had a green light inside. I had like camo netting, and then I had done, I think it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 bats for each of them. I know Juan was thinking, because he's not like a Victus guy, but he slowly swung Victus, and now he swings Victus a lot. I know that meant something to him, that we would take the time to do something like that for him, a guy who doesn't swing us 100%. So, and it goes a long way. We try to take care of guys. If a guy picks up a Victus bat, our pro rep is like, all right, let's get him 3 more. Let's get this guy. Let's keep that momentum going. So, and we make great bats. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are actually pieces of art. I remember being home watching the London series, and before the game started, just seeing pictures on Twitter of Francisco Lindor swinging this bat at BP. And another mascot I feel like another mascot took some of the thunder that day, but Mr. Met looks like he's born to guard the Queen's Palace. But yeah, I mean, look, this is one of the standout moments of the London series for me, and that was a big turning point for the Mets season.
Yes, it was.
You know, I mean, some would say those teams took 2 different directions right after that. But tell us about this project. You can even tell us about like doing this one and the Fanatic one.
So the first game in London, you saw the Phillies were using their custom bats. We're not so sure. Like, they didn't really pick them up for the second game. That might have been why the second game they didn't do as well. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I was in spring training. We were at the house in spring training, and it was one morning, and I was like, you know what? I just wanted to sketch up the Philly Fanatic as a London guard or something. I knew London was coming up, and I was like, I just want to sketch this up just to get my mind around how I'm going to pull this thing off. So I did that. Our CEO was there. He goes over my shoulder. He texts a picture to Harper, and Harper's like, can I swing that? And we're like, absolutely. So I knew that was the direction I was going with Bryce. And I knew that I wanted to get a couple things of Lindor. I did like a London stacked bat as well that we gave to a couple guys, including like Harrison Bader. But I wanted to get one of those in Lindor, and then I wanted to do something special for Lindor. And I can't remember if we were able to get one to Mr. Met, but I know we made one to try to get to Mr. Met. Sometimes it's tough in those situations. But yeah, that's how they came about. I lucked out. The Philly Fanatic literally walked through a gate when I was standing there with the bat in my hand, not expecting to see him. And that was like an easy moment to be like, oh, here, this, so that was a really cool moment for us. But yeah, we try to take care of our guys. We try to take care of Marucci guys to make sure when they're at these events that they can have something that is even more memorable than the event itself. And I will tell you, Victus always kind of went against the grain, because when I first started at Victus, I did that first Fanatic bat for Harper. We got a call. You can't take that on the field or you're getting fined. You can't even take it on the field for BP or you're getting fined. And we're like, all right, no problem. Still try to trickle the stuff out to the guys. The following season, I did that graffiti bat for Julio. And we didn't say anything to him. We just let him run with it. And next thing you know, it started popping up all the time in BP. It's all he used. Started showing up all over the Mariners social. And we're like, okay, we haven't heard anything about this. So we're like, let's start getting more guys bats. And that's what we did. And we tried not to break any kind of rules, but we definitely wanted to get these guys stuff that they could swing in BP. And to MLB's credit, they let us. And, they told us, that with like London, like they saw these bats and they loved it. They loved that we were doing this. And with now our partnership, it's going to open up a lot of doors where we can do a lot more things and we work together, because these bats they're never going to become the norm. And I don't think they should become the norm, but they should be a part of the game.
You really don't think they should become the norm? Because like Players Weekend, for example, I mean, I used to think the nicknames on the back of the jerseys was the best part of Players Weekend. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, we don't have those right now, but the personal bats feels like such an easy thing to make part of an everyday game. Like you see in the NBA, you're allowed to show your personality with your sneakers. Why can't in baseball guys swing these 162 games a year?
I think tradition plays a lot into it. And whereas, yeah, I think it would be dope to turn on television and see all 30 teams, all the players using custom bats. There's not enough of me to go around right now for that to happen, but it would be cool. But I do think keeping tradition is important in baseball. But I do think MLB having more events and more games where these can be shown is important, because you want to keep the youth engaged. You want to be able to let these guys show their personality like they do with the cleats. But I think that the older generation, if you start having these guys pop up with these kind of crazy bats all the time, they might think that they're like becoming more the focus in the actual game. And I think like I've always lived my life trying to be in balance, and I think that there's just a balance there. We've seen on Mother's Day where they're allowed to swing pink bats.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do something cool for Father's Day. You know, hopefully when there's other events going on, like I know that the reins are probably going to be let off a little more when it comes to the All-Star game, whereas in the past it's always kind of been like, if we see them, we might take them. Whereas now it's going to be a little bit more, we're going to embrace that, let these guys show a little more personality. And, I always feel like you can't go, it's too much to go in this direction to say no, and it's too much to go in this direction to say everything. So always finding that place in the middle. And I think if you give, like maybe in spring training, you're like in spring training, you guys swing whatever you want, and then we have like maybe like 5 or 6 events throughout the year. I was telling you earlier about the Tokyo series coming up. I have a number of bats designs that we're doing for the Tokyo series, and certainly we're going to get them to players.
You have one right here, right?
Yeah, yep. So that's one of the designs for the Tokyo series. We call that the samurai bat head. And we have one for the Dodgers, obviously one for the Cubs because they're going to be playing in that series. And then we have like a number of other bats for that series. So we're going to get some of those to players, and hopefully they'll have the opportunity to swing them in the game. I think that'd be great for obviously selling the bat, but it'd also be great to show the Japanese audience these cool custom bats in person as well. And I have started doing quite a few customs because we have Victus Japan, we have Marucci Japan, and we have definitely taken the Bat King bats, talent, whatever, over to Japan. I was over there airbrushing last year. I'll be over there again this year airbrushing and putting these bats on display.
And then, so how does it work in Japan? Where would these be for sale in overseas?
So these would be at our hitter's house. They also have a place, I believe it's called Alpine Sports. I believe I'm getting that right. It's a pretty big sporting shop, kind of like Dick's Sporting Goods here. They'll have them there, and I think there's like another outlet that they're going to have them. So there'll be a number of places.
Tell me about the hitter's house.
So the hitter's house, we have them throughout the country. And there are places where you can have like a membership and you can go there and you can hit anytime you want. So it's 24-hour access to it. We have a number of cages in there. They have hit tracks in there. You can go in there if you're a dad that your son wants to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and go hit, you can go there. It's a nice controlled environment and all that. So
between the hitter's house and all the different things you're doing, you're putting a lot more effort into just like making a cool bat. You're trying to match the player to their bat, the person to their bat. And then I know you were also telling me before about the limited series that you guys are doing. How do you get those bats, and what are those bats about?
So the limited series, that's our backbone at Victus. That's how this all got started. An event would come up, or we have a really cool design that we like, and we will release it through our limited series. It's a chance for people to purchase these bats. The majority of them we do are gamers. Every once in a while we'll do trophy bats, which are bats that are made for the shelf, but for the most part, they're bats that are meant to be picked up and swung. Sometimes we'll do a limited number run. A lot of times it's a limited window, so you'll have like a week to order this bat before we close it, because we don't want to oversell what we need to make in that time frame. And like I was saying with the pencil bat, we did like 1,200 in like a week. But in reality, it took us probably, I'd say, about a month and a half to 2 months to get all those orders out the door. But it was such a popular bat that we decided to re-release it, and that's what brings us into the Little League Classic with Bryson Stott. So I don't know if you want me to talk about that.
Yeah, man, please.
So, okay. So originally, for the home run derby, I got to go back. I had done a number of bats. I think at that point I had like 4 of the 8 participants had Bat King custom bats for the derby. We had Adley Rushman, and we pitched him to swing the pencil bat. His parents were teachers. We were like, this is a layup, dude. We're like, the pencil bat is the thing. He didn't want to swing the pencil bat. And I don't know if it was because he thought it was a little bit too flashy or what. But he kind of came at the last minute with like a Northwest theme, but I was like getting on the flight. I didn't have time to make that for him. So we kind of just were like, well, this is what we got. And it didn't get swung in the Derby. So the Phillies were going to be in the Little League Classic. And I did a number of bats for the guys. And I made pencil bats for each of the guys. Our pro rep took the bats down, showing the guys. Stott picked up the pencil bat, and he's like, you think you'll swing that? And Stott's like, yeah, I'll swing this thing. So Stott goes to the plate with it, and it becomes a viral moment. And, we ended up selling, I think it was like another 1,500 pencil bats, all wood. And it was a great moment for Victus. It was a great moment for Stott, for baseball. That bat it just took off again. And at that moment, we're like, okay, we got to make this into a metal bat. People got to be able to have this to be able to swing from T-ball up to college, and that's what we did. And I think that bat might reach 100,000. So
that's crazy. And then
it really is.
You also get to make ones that are just for your own personal flair. And I got 2 right here that I want to talk to you about.
Yes, sir.
We got a Joker bat, and then we have a Deadpool and Venom mashup bat.
The Venom Pool bat, we actually had an event in New York where they wanted me to airbrush. So I was just thinking of, okay, well, I can do a little bit of that work ahead of time, and then I can go up there and I can do a lot of the freehand work. So that's why I ended up doing the Venom Pool bat. But yeah, it's definitely, I love it. That bat's never leaving my side. It's definitely staying in my collection. And then for the Joker bat, I had a gallery. We called it the Swingable Art Gallery, and we had a lot of stuff that was for sale, and we had a lot of stuff that I had done that were releases. And that bat took me about 4 hours to do, and I can't necessarily spend that much time on one bat when we have to do production. So I wanted to do a couple pieces that kind of like showed the level that I could take it had I had the opportunity. So, and then I made a Joker bat for Kith. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Kith.
Yeah.
So I did it because they just had their Joker collab. So I did a Kith bat for that they were able to give to the designer, and that I kept one for myself. So they pair nicely together in my office. So, but it just shows another level that we can take these bats that people don't think about, and maybe it sparks other artists out there to be like, well, I don't have all this production to worry about. I'm going to go crazy with these bats like this.
Let's talk about now the Slimer bat over here, because I was looking at your collection online and what you've made, and I see there's a lot of 90s cartoons. Obviously, we've got comic book stuff over here, and like your personality just shines through all of this stuff, which is pretty cool to see. And this bat popped automatically for me, but just as a big Ghostbusters fan.
Yes.
Tell me about this one.
We have like over 50 employees at the shop. Everyone, I would say 45 of them are dialed into baseball. I come up with a lot of ideas that I like, things that I like, but then everyone at the shop has ideas that they throw at me all the time as well. And we all have our ear to the game. So, I saw it. We all saw Mookie talking about being afraid to stay at this one hotel because it was haunted. So once again, I text my CEO. I'm like, dude, I got to do a Slimer bat for him. I think it would be hilarious. So he's like, yeah, go for it. So I did this bat. It is neon, so it's black light reactive. The back of this bat says, ain't afraid of no ghost. We send it out to Mookie. And he's been a champion for me as well. He swings a lot of customs that I make for him. But it's cool because everyone, like, there's certain things. So for Juan Soto, when he was in the All-Star game in Seattle, I had done a sticker bomb bat. At this time, he was a Padre. And And it was like in the Padres colors. And the one marketing guy at the shop was like, he's been wearing a lot of like fluorescent green. He's like, you should add some fluorescent green. So I put the fluorescent green Victus logo on there, and there's great shots of Soto with that bat. He used it, and it helps to be in that baseball world. For me personally, yes, cartoons, comic books, all that. My whole life, I've always been about it. I'm a big kid. Toys, I still collect toys, all that stuff. I just love it. And I've been very, very fortunate that this stuff has become like, kind of like iconic, like Slimer's iconic,
Yeah.
So he's probably not going to get old, the Philly fanatic. He's a cool kid, big kid, So I've been able to bring in the things that I like, and I've been fortunate enough to express it in my artwork and take twist on different things that, obviously I didn't invent Slimer, but I did invent him on a bat, So yeah. I've been able to put twist and all on that and sprinkle some of myself in there. When I first came to Victus, the CEO and we went back and forth because he was like, I got to break you out of the motorcycle mentality. And for myself, I knew that I can bring some of that in there. It just can't be like everything motorcycle, because like you don't see any tribal art that I do, but I do that a lot on motorcycles. So it was all about us once again finding that balance of what's going to work. And now it's kind of like the chains are off. He has full confidence in what I create because he knows I get it. I get where that balance is, and yeah, it certainly allowed me to bring this stuff back into the fold.
So how long does it take you to make? Because you said this one took you 4 hours to make, the Joker bat, right?
Yeah.
What does a normal bat take you?
It really depends on the design. At this point, if you minus like drying times, paint and airbrush time on a pencil bat, I could probably do in less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah. So something, whereas the Cubs bat, that's even less time to do that Tokyo Series bat. Something where
sometimes it takes me 15 minutes to tie my shoes.
So something like this is a Tatis bat head that we do. Something like this might take me about a half hour worth of actual airbrush time to do this bat. Everything for me, it'll start with a thought, a sketch. Usually go into Procreate. I have this pretty cool program that allows me to take a bat into Procreate and mock it up 3D. So you can sit there and spin it and see the bat 360 degrees. So that helps me kind of solve the puzzle. I talk about a baseball bat as being like a puzzle that you have to try to figure out how to solve. And using that tool there helps out a lot. So.
And it's a pretty exciting time for you guys because this year you just got announced as the official bat of Major League Baseball, and this bat right here is celebrating that, right?
Correct. That's we released that January 1st. That is as well as Marucci, Victus were the official bats at MLB. So that bat was there. So it's kind of to give something to the people that have always collected our bats and people that have been on the journey with Victus through the years, something for them to feel proud of and because they were a part of it. Everybody from day one that was buying, the hydro dip bats or anything that Victus was doing, they helped get us to where we're at. And we just wanted to do something to kind of share with them as well.
And current Mets that have used your bats, obviously Juan Soto, we've talked about during this episode. Last year, we saw Harrison Bader was one of the people that really helped the crayon bat up during Players Weekend.
Yep.
And Jose Siri, who's going to be joining the team this year for the first time,
correct,
is a Victus guy.
Yep.
Does he have any standout bats that you can remember?
I did a bat for him. I can't remember which one I did for him. I thought I did a Players Weekend bat for him. I think I did a bat for him, but I can't remember what bat I might have made for him. I did a lot of Players Weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it's Players Weekend, you're like, is that the way like a toy maker will be busy for Christmas time, or you just Players Weekend, is that the time you're just like head down to the airbrush just working nonstop?
Yeah. So
are you the most popular guy at Players Weekend?
I would hope. But so I knew that had London series. I knew that had we had the London series, and we had a trip planned to Japan. So I was working on all that. I can't remember when MLB announced Players Weekend. It may be April or May, but I wasn't 100% ready for it because my busiest time of the year is All-Star because we give All-Star players bats. Then I'll do, I think the one year the year that Mookie was in the Derby, I did 8 different custom bats for Mookie to choose from for the Derby. I did like 6 or 7 for Julio. So I get swamped in the middle of June till the middle of July. I just get swamped. And so I had gotten through all of that. And then I go down to the Marucci World Series and I set up down there. I'll do some airbrushing there, to help with that brand as well. And then I get back and it's like, okay, we got 3 weeks to Players Weekend. And I think I was submitting designs up until maybe 2 days before Players Weekend started, which I can't say that MLB really appreciated that, but we were able to push stuff through. But that was like nonstop, just any thought that was coming to my mind for a guy, boom, I was doing it and pushing it out. And fortunately, we did do a lot of pencil bats. We did do a lot of crayon bats. I had this other design that I did, this Warhawk design. So we were able to do a lot of those as well, which don't take nearly as much time. But you got guys that reach out, like Brendan Doyle was like, I want a Mountain Dew bat. It's like, okay, well, I can't do a Mountain Dew bat, but I did do a Mountain Doyle bat. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, it was a lot of work. It was really fun. I'm feeling this year it's going to be a lot more because now it's on players' radar. Whereas before we would reach out to players and like, there's Players Weekend. They didn't even really know it. So.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming all the way from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania to New York City to show us these bats. You brought 2 full cases with you. You can follow Bruce on Instagram at @_bat_king, Victus Sports. But, dude, this has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me out here. I will tell you, anytime the Bat King rolls into a facility with the cases, I always bring gifts, man. So I got a couple of pieces of art for you, and I'd like to give them to you now.
No way.
So let's start here with this is a bat that I did for you because the Amazing Mets is coming up. I thought that this might be a cool bat for you guys to have.
Oh yeah, we have Amazing Day this Saturday, and this is coming out before Amazing Day, guys. So if you are coming to Amazing Day, you're going to be able to see a bunch of cool stuff, and there are still VIP tickets available. So go to Mets.com to get some of those tickets. But this is sick. We got the skyline. Tell me about this bat, dude.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something, obviously, that had the Amazing Mets on it. And so the word the Amazing, once again, it's a little bit of a play on Spider-Man. If you see the font is definitely from like Spider-Man. But I wanted to do something that kind of symbolized that event and give you guys a little keepsake for it.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, look, Amazing Day. We've all been looking forward to a long time, and as you know, you're a comic book guy, so you know Spider-Man is a Mets fan. That is canon. That is true. Spider-Man is a Mets fan. He's from Queens. He's went to Mets games. So
even superheroes have flaws.
So this is awesome, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We got to do the big purple guy here. We got the Grimace. I see he's going to go well with the socks you got on there.
I do. You know, I always rep my Grimmies.
Complete with the OMG down the handle.
Now, look, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know, I'm an original friend of Grimace, big Grimace fan. This is sick, dude. Whoa. His face is right there. This is, you know, me and Grimace, we still talk. We're still buddies.
Nice.
You're not a Mets fan, but was it fun to see the Grimace stuff this year?
It was.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right. You're an
80s
cartoon guy.
Listen, I was at McDonald's a lot as a kid. I had birthday parties there back in the day. So, yeah. So, it's really cool. It's cool to see. That's the one great thing about all these different teams. There's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different things that it opens. You don't have to be stuck in the Phillies box. So,
and you got the OMG sign on here, too. Yep. I mean, look, if there is any perfect way to encapsulate the 2024 New York Mets, it's this and this. So this is awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And last but not least, we have a Home Run Apple, Meet at the Apple bat.
No way. Whoa. It looks so. Look at that. Look at the detail on that. We got the Home Run Apple. I mean, it's just like it's like our logo. It's like the Home Run Apple. Whoa. Is that the outside of the ballpark in the V?
Yeah. So I rastered that into the vinyl. So. It just adds a nice little another special touch in there.
Dude, thank you. I mean, this is sick. You are one of the most talented people I've met in my life. I mean, I'm just a dude who talks about the Mets to other people, and you're out here, and you're doing this in 15 minutes?
That bat took longer than 15 minutes.
But like you're doing some of these in 15 minutes. How
yeah.
long does this one take?
That one took a little. You got a complicated logo there, so it's a little tedious. That bat probably took you about an hour to do that bat. So.
I like it. The way you were like, oh, that one took a while. I thought you were going to say it's an hour. I mean, like, do you like? Does it not like blow your mind how quick you're able to do this stuff? Like, or does an hour seem like long to you?
It can seem like long to me. You know,
you realize typical humans that like you realize like somebody like me, if you gave me all of the tools in the world. This would probably take me 3 weeks, and it would look like garbage.
Well, I mean, it's from the experience that I have, and like I said, the tools that I have at my disposal, it helps me get to the finish line a lot quicker. Knowing where I want to go helps out a lot. But yeah, I have to think. Victus has me there because they want to make money. You know what I mean? I'm not just a pretty face. But yeah, so it's always about. I always try and think about how can I be the most efficient as possible with trying to create like cool artwork. So
well, look again. We really appreciate Bruce's time, the Bat King. You can follow him on Instagram @_bat_king. You can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on the Mets YouTube as well. Meet at the Apple. You can follow me on Twitter @VitoFKalisi. Bruce, again, man, thank you so much for the time. And I really, really, really hope we get to see some more Mets players. I can't wait to see the Juan Soto Mets bat this year, okay? Yeah. You did one for the Yankees. You did one for the Padres. It's time to give us some love. I know you're a Philly. I know you're hiding it because you're a Phillies fan. I know you don't want to give us the credit we deserve.
Yeah, you guys had a good season.
Especially a good NLDS, right?
Yeah, it was all right.
Dude, thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. So take care of Soto. I'll take care of him. You guys take care of him.